Hey, what's up everyone? Phoenix here. Blessings to you today. So lately I've been fixated on a chart that was created over 150 years ago by a man named George Tritch. Now there's not really much, if anything, known about this man. They say that he was a farmer and he dealt in commodities, but he created a chart and printed it on the back of a postcard. I'm going to show it to you in a moment here. But what's so fascinating about this chart is that it has successfully predicted the moves in the stock market over the last 150 years, literally to a T, about 93% success rate. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to break down all of the calls that were made in this chart, and we're going to try and make sense of it here. So let's dive in. So take a look at this. This is the original chart. Now I had somebody, a friend of mine on Twitter, was kind enough to remake this chart because it is very difficult to read in its original form. And this was a postcard, and you can see it here. It's a postcard for a hardware store, and which is pretty strange, in Denver, Colorado. And it's also, they also apparently sold stocks, hardware, stove and ranges, stocks, pistols, ammunition, basically everything that you can get at Walmart today and then some. But what's really interesting about this was the way that it was laid out. And there's a lot of, it looks like some sort of sacred geometry, and I can't for the life of me figure out the pattern behind this. And you're going to see why I'm so fixated on this in a moment here. But let me show you the remake of the chart because it's a lot clearer. Let's have a look here at, let's bring this up here. And you can see periods when to make money. And I want to give credit where it is due. Antoine Nesco on Twitter, you give him a follow. He was kind enough to recreate this for me. But you can see there's years in which panics have occurred. And then there's the B level, which is the mid level. And these are areas where it's said to be good times, high prices, and time to sell. And then the C level is said to be really bad times where it's a prime buying opportunity. Now, this looks like a bunch of hocus pocus, doesn't it? It looks pretty woo-woo. But when I took these dates and I made some buy and sell periods based off of the C and B in particular, I found something really fascinating. So first, let's just take a look and see. It looks almost random, but there is a pattern to it. So here you can see that they're showing the distance between each period, and it goes from 20 to 16 to 18, 20, 16, 18. And then here you have between 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, 8, 9, 10, and it repeats like that. And then here we also, within the triangles, it's showing periods. So at the bottom you have 9, 7, 11, 9, 7, 11. And then the triangles, it's 3, 6, 9, 2, 5, 7, 4, 7, 11. So this is, it seems very sophisticated, and I have no idea how he came up with this. It seems like channeled information to me. And I wouldn't have thought much of it if it didn't coincide with major market crashes that we've seen. And I'm gonna show you here. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Index. And this goes all the way back to 1896. So I want you to pay attention to a few details here. First of all, the lower arrows pointing up, these are green arrows. These are indications of when to buy. And I basically followed along the chart. And if we take a look and we see these were the periods where they're saying hard times and a good time to buy, and then hold until the boom reaches good times. So selling at the B levels before the years of panic, okay? So selling here, buying here. So I just followed that, and I added the arrows to the DGI chart. And so let's take a look here. You can see, and then I measured actually the distance from the period of buying on January 1st of that year, assuming you bought at the beginning of the year, to selling on January 1st of the year of the end of good times. And so if you measure the distance between these on every occasion, it is overwhelmingly positive. Actually, it's 784% cumulative gains for that. And there is only 1 year in particular where you receive a negative return on your investment. And that was here. This was actually during the Depression. So kind of can be excusable, right? Because we had a black swan event here. But had you actually followed this, you could see that you would have sold in 1926, which was a couple of years prior to the Depression, but then you would have missed out on a lot of losses here. And of course, buying in this year wasn't the best, but this was 1 out of 14. So 93% of the time, this yielded a positive return. So that's why this is of so much interest to me. And as a matter of fact, you can see also in 1999, this was a major move here, 123%, 127% before that. But if you had sold here, this was right before the crash here, and then you could have bought here again, sold here, made 24%, and then 2007, you would have skipped out on this entire recession here. Okay, so this is significant because both of these were major crashes in this century. This is over 100 years after this chart was published on a postcard. And then in 2020, of course, we had the COVID event. And so in this case, there was the sell signal that was given in 2016, and the buy signal doesn't come again until, guess what? January 1st, 2023. And so again, I'm not making this up. This is according to the chart. You can see right here, 2023 is showing years of hard times, low prices, and a good time to buy. And this is when, of course, nobody really wants to buy. But according to this chart, if it follows along the way it has been, then we have a very high probability of making some really positive gains in the coming years. Now, it's up to you whether you want to follow this. This is not financial advice, but it is fascinating to me. And also, if we take a look at cryptocurrency really quickly, I want to look at the Bitcoin chart. We don't have a whole lot of data to go off of here, but let's say you follow that buy signal in 2012 and then sold in 2016. That was prior to, of course, you missed some of the parabolic run here, but you actually gained 20,360%. So that is almost a 24x on your investment. And guess what? 2023, the chart says buy. So I think this is absolutely fascinating that somebody 150 years ago could predict a large majority of the market movements in such a seemingly arbitrary way that pretty much defies logic. I mean, if you look at this chart, it looks like some sort of an Egyptian hieroglyphic, and yet it also could be sophisticated beyond our wildest imagination. And so I think it's very fitting that this George Tritch was basically an unknown person, just an average farmer who published this, probably with the intention of tracking the prices of commodities and buying and selling at the right time. And now he did have previous history that he was going off of, and perhaps that's how he derived this chart, because this was published in 1872 and he goes all the way back to 1780. And so he must have established some sort of a pattern. There's no methodology that we are aware of, but he established a pattern and then just played that out. Now, what's really hopeful about this for those of us that are in the bear market right now in 2023, we've been in this for over a year now, is that even though markets change, technology changes, the outer circumstances change, market cycles have been reliable for several hundred years now, and that's highly unlikely to change because, as we know, everything moves in cycles. And this is also an ancient Hermetic principle. We have the ebb and flow. The tides come in and they go back out again. In nature, we have our seasons. Why would it be any different in a market? Why would it be any different for human emotions and psychology and in business and commerce? So I would invite you to take a closer look at this chart. I will link to it down in the description below, and maybe just use it as a reference, or maybe it's some sign of confluence. Again, this is not financial advice, but it gives me hope for 2023 and beyond. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about cryptocurrency and trading, then I have a whole lot of resources. Again, see the links in the description below. Have a beautiful rest of your day.